I talk about my favorite artists in this program. I don't give enough credit to Stevie Ray Vaughan. I could tell you where I was when I found, the way people know where they were when Kennedy was assassinated. I was walking from the radio station at State University of New York at Delhi. And I was just came from the radio station. I was walking back to my dorm. Someone came running up to me. They said, Stevie Ray Vaughan is dead. I was like, what? I remember sitting and watching him on MTV's Unplugged, playing a 12-string guitar, finger-picking the individual secondary strings and being blown away by it. But like I said, we stereotype people on this program, so if we're going to talk to a Texas representative, we're going to play some Stevie Ray Vaughan. Representative Randy Weber's joining us. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing fine. Now, you're bringing back old memories, Andrew.
Well, I've given up on political correctness. I just assume what kind of music somebody likes based on geography, even sometimes race, and I just play a song. And if they say, I didn't really like that song, okay, well, I tried. But I just assume someone from Texas would appreciate a little Stevie Ray.
You bet. We need to get rid of this political correctness that's killing us.
The more I read the Senate immigration bills, Section 3701 to be specific, where there are waivers for illegal immigrants who have committed other crimes, such as misdemeanor assault, theft, drug possession. I'm noticing something that while we're talking about race in this country and while people keep saying, we got to have a national conversation, somebody ought to let the NAACP know that young black men coming off of short-term jail sentences or having records for low-level misdemeanor crimes might find themselves at a disadvantage against illegal immigrants who've had their records scrubbed by the Department of Homeland Security for the purpose of registered provisional immigrant status. That's unfair to American citizens.
It absolutely is. It's nonsensical. I think some of them are paying attention. Some of the unions, of course, I think are going to sit up and take notice. It is unbelievable, Andrew. We have an administration, and you've probably noticed, who you can go right from the start. You can go with Fast and Furious, where they send illegal guns to drug runners using American tax dollars to prove that drug warlords, violent criminals do bad things with guns. Really? I mean, how smart do you have to be? They won't defend the Defense of Marriage Act. Of course, the president has come out and said the Dreamers, he would not deport a certain class of the Dreamers. They pick and choose what laws they want to support, and they lie over Benghazi, the IRS, I can go on and on. IRS comes out and they go after conservatives. You got the whole NSA thing where they're listening to everybody, basically, or they're saving the numbers of everybody. Of course, I like to say, Andrew, that we finally have a president who listens to all Americans. Isn't that sad? But here you have the DHS. They want to give.
Wait, do you say listens or lectures to?
Well, I think one and the same. But now they want to give the DHS. I'm aware Napolitano's leaving, but they want to give the DHS the ability to give waivers to criminals. Some of them are child molesters, Andrew, drug convictions, DWI convictions, and we want them to be able to decide. Those are the ones that can stay in our country? I think not.
Well, and that puts an American citizen. An American citizen doesn't get to just have his or her record scrubbed. And if we're going to look at a high unemployment rate with young people in this country, and most American citizens, if they're going to have low-level, public intoxication or, public urination or, low-level drug offenses, small amounts of marijuana or some kind of petty theft, that's going to happen probably when you're a young person. Yeah. If you have paid your debt to society and now want to move forward in your life, you're going to find that road to gainful employment, forgetting the fact that we have 7.6% unemployment in an economy that's going nowhere. But when you say there's going to be tens of millions of people who came here illegally, broken a law, then broken up to 3 other laws, and they're going to have their criminal records scrubbed clean, now you're putting American citizens, black, white, Hispanic, doesn't really matter to me, American people, at a disadvantage to the illegal immigrant who's no longer illegal.
Well, yeah, that's what the Senate bill wants to do. We are a nation of immigrants. Look, my grandfather, I'm a grandson of a German immigrant. My grandfather came over here from Germany in 1903, I believe it was, on the boat. And so did my grandmother. Actually, her grandparents were pregnant with her. So both my dad's parents are. I'm the grandson of a German immigrant. He's a full.
You know, you just made yourself a YouTube moment with that one, right? Someone's taping this program. That's going to be.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm the son of a German ignorant.
So I get it.
Wendy Davis is going to use that against you.
Oh yeah, you got it. But I get it that we're a country of legal immigration. We need to be, and rule of law, and for the Senate or the president to want to take jobs away from rule of law abiding American citizens doesn't make sense. And I'll give you one other that you didn't bring up. And they're in the Senate's bill. They forgive 3 out of the last 5 years IRS tax bills. Well, where do I sign up for that?
Yeah, hey, I'd like that one.
It's lunacy, absolute lunacy.
Here's the other one. We have this backlog at the VA, and they want to now administer Obama. They can't even make the VA work, and now the federal government wants to have this sort of overarching authority in healthcare. And there's this blue card. There's all these fast tracks to citizenship. They keep saying 13 years, 13 years. The more I read the bill, the more fast tracks I find to get under that 13 years. We have this abuse. I was reading the article here from the New York Post. We have a phenomenon here in New York City where people are using EBT and food stamps to buy food on the public's charge and send it to Haiti, the Dominican Republic, and Jamaica. We have all of these programs that can't even work, that don't even work well now, and the federal government wants to administer a tax credit program for the illegals. It's like, you should be making these things work for American citizens and veterans before you take on even more people.
Well, they can't get it right, Andrew. I mean, it is unbelievable. You've got a president who wants to give away things. They can't even handle the post office. They cannot handle, as you pointed out, the Veterans Administration. Now they want to do it with Obamacare. Of course, as you're well aware, president's come out and said, that he wants to delay the individual mandates for employers, and you got to love this guy. Boy, he's conflicted and confused. And of course, as a House, we said, okay, well, we know how bad it is, but we want to delay the mandate for individuals too. And immediately he begins to threaten to veto both of our bills.
Are you getting any pressure? Is the talk getting to the House on some kind of bailout for Detroit? Because I've been using the example of Grover Cleveland and your state in 1887, where Grover Cleveland, a Democrat, I might add, vetoed a bill that would have provided seed and equipment for Texas farmers after a drought and a Dust Bowl storm. Oh my, how times have changed. Yeah. That probably the representatives of Michigan had no intention of taking money out of their beloved city of Detroit and handing it off to some hayseed farmer in Texas. Now Texas is the fastest growing, most profit, just everything's working in Texas. Yeah. And now Texas residents are going to be asked to foot the bill for Detroit.
Now, we have not. I've not heard any part of that discussion yet, but I will tell you this: when I was in the Texas legislature, and when California was $30 billion with a B dollars in debt, and yet Texas had a $9 billion with a B dollar surplus, and what we call our rainy day fund, more correctly called the Economic Stabilization Fund, ESF. I started saying then, if the federal government starts wanting to take some of our money and give it, because we've been good money managers in Texas, quite frankly. As we drove around, we went to different seminars around the country, other legislators would say, Representative Weber, how did you guys manage to get a $9 billion surplus? We're $300 million in the red or $2 billion in the red or whatever. And we would always look at them and say, well, it's real easy. We didn't spend all the money. Real simple. And for the federal government to want to take our money, our extra money from our Texas citizens and give to California would be unconscionable to me, and I would have to say to Detroit as well.
Well, they have their own mess up there. I just wanted to get you on that. The other thing is we have what is it, over $1 trillion in student debt, and now they're trying to find ways. I mean, they're doing this in Michigan to pad our schools. We're talking about class overcrowding and student debt, and now this immigration bill is going to flood schools with the dreamers.
I was at a rally on the I guess it would be the east side of the Capitol. And by the way, we have an audio from the Capitol Police on that day. There was a rally on immigration 9 to 12, then there was a Tea Party rally on the IRS noon to 5. And we literally have an audio recording, Andrew, of Capitol Police calling the organizers of the IRS rally and saying, this is so-and-so with the Capitol Police. It's been reported that your followers have been leaving their area where they have a permit to be and going over to the other rally. This is not permitted. Tell your followers they have to stay in the area they're permitted to be in. And I thought, oh, my God.
Yeah, we'll get right on that. We'll start corralling our followers like we own them or something. We'll just get the sheepdogs out,
And when do you have to have a permit? Sure, the rally organizer set up a permit to be on the West Lawn, for example, but you don't tell people that they don't have the right to go from lawn to lawn in their own capital. That's their mindset. But I'm just unbelievably infuriated by that kind of mindset. And when you see that come out, you think that we've got a government who has forgotten they're supposed to work for the people, not the other way around. They think that people have to do what the government says. So I think you're going to see that most of us will stand up and voice opposition to bailing out Detroit. We can't keep bailing out people. This president thinks that everything's a stimulus. All you got to do is just send more money, and that doesn't fix the problem. You talked about illegals in the schools. If we shut off the money magnets, if we quit giving away free, or in-state tuition, we quit giving away free medical in the emergency rooms. They can't get on the Lone Star, or what we call the Lone Star card in Texas, which is food stamps, and they can't get benefits. Those who enter the country illegally, they don't need.
But let me interrupt you. You just said that, right? Okay, so Texas has a large Hispanic population.
Yes.
It's a very diverse state. You do have these programs, but you're managing them well, or at least within reason. How is Texas not the model for the rest of the country here? If you're going to say diversity is strength, well, Texas is diverse. If you're going to say having some of these programs is wise and just, well, Texas has these programs. They're just not broke like California.
Right. Well, that's because we're good money managers. And I will tell you this: the comptroller Susan Combs 2 years ago was saying that if Obamacare goes into place and they start forcing us to extend our Medicaid, because you know what it did? It gave eligibility under Medicaid to a lot of more people than it did single mothers with kids in the past. And so the Susan Combs, our comptroller, and just FYI, the Texas budget, I was on the education committee, 60% of Texas budget goes to pub ed and higher ed. That's K through 12, and then colleges, junior colleges, and graduate school. And then the other 40%, you can just name them, goes to highway funding, DPS, judiciary, state legislature, HHSC, Health and Human Services Commission. But 60% to ed, and Susan Combs said currently Texas was spending about 17% of our budget on HHSC, Health and Human Services Commission. If Obamacare kicked in and we were forced to increase our Medicaid, it would go to 30 or 35, maybe as high as 40%. Now do the math, Andrew. 60% on pub ed, 35 to 40 on HHSC. I'm just thinking that doesn't leave a lot for transportation, for the Texas Department of Corrections, for the DPS, and just on and on and on.
It's just, my wife and I look at Texas real estate websites every day, by the way.
Well, come on. Hey,
I know. I'm just, I keep telling, right, because I do a TV show for the Blaze, and, I might get the call one day, hey, Glenn wants you to move out there, do the show, in Dallas, in the big studio there.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up. Let me answer something. There was some talk about the 70 signatures gathered to tell the Speaker, the leadership, that we did not want a bill brought to the Texas House, the House floor until we had a Republican discussion on it. And I gathered, there was 9 of us that got what we call whip lists to go out and gather signatures. I probably gathered 20 or 21 of those signatures myself personally, because I said, look, we are in the majority. They call it the Hastert rule. I'm sure you're aware.
Yeah.
And we want our leadership to know we are not in favor of bringing the Senate bill up. We don't want that rammed down our throats with all this junk it's got in it, and we don't want it going to a conference where we're going to give away the farm again. And so there was a push to get those 70 names, and I don't know, Steve King's office had all of the names, but I personally collected 20 or 21 of them because I thought, this is an important topic. We need to have a weekend conference on it. Kathy McMorris Rogers told me, she said, Randy, I don't think people will stay in D.C. for the weekend. I said, Kathy, doesn't matter. Call the conference, and those, it's important. And those who will publish the list of those who came to the conference, who considered it important enough. And those who didn't, let them deal with their constituents. It is important, and we need to really focus on this and get it right.
Well, it didn't work when Bush tried it. It looks like it's not going to. I mean, even McCain is out there saying we're losing the battle here. I don't mean to cut you off, but at the end of the show, Hannity's coming up next, and I don't get to take any of his time. Representative Randy Weber will have you back on the program real soon. Weber.house.gov. I'll speak to you next time.
Thank you, Andrew.
All right, when the music's about to kick in. Fact of the matter is, Texas is the model for many of these things. And it's not a joke. My wife and I are looking at Texas real estate websites every day.